And would you lead us in invocation?
Sure. Gracious Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for this district. Thank you for all these people here that are here to do the school's business. Help us to guide our district in the way that you see fit. Please watch over our teachers, administrators, and children as they come to and from the school this year. We also thank you for the rain that we had last night. It was great. Please just watch over us as we try to do your work tonight, Lord, and just bless our school each and every day. And I ask all these things in your name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Mr. Lemon.
We don't have anybody signed up to speak.
Item number 3 is public forum. No one signed up to speak.
You want the number 4?
Yes, sir. We want to welcome Mr. Johnny Lathrop from the Flippin' Group. He's here to visit with us tonight about capturing kids' hearts. No decision, no vote tonight. This is just for y'all's information. Start getting this information out to the public as well. We're going to turn it over to Mr. Lathrop. I thank him for being here, even though he has a long trip tomorrow.
Well, Mr. Martindale, thank you. It's an honor to be here, members of the board. I appreciate you having me here tonight in your district to talk about something that changed my life. Not just as a professional, but as a dad, as a father, as a husband, and that's called Capturing Kids' Hearts. And I can talk all night long about what Capturing Kids' Hearts has done, but I will try and keep that to about 10 minutes. And I'd like to make it as interactive as possible. So if I get going at a point where you may have a question, stop me and let's make this interactive. Because I'm extremely passionate about capturing kids' hearts and what it can do for schools and school districts. So for that, I thank you for having me here tonight, board and Mr. Martindale, and our campus principals too, as well. We build winning classrooms. We're a company that loves kids. In fact, our mantra is, if you have a child's heart, you have their mind. And if you are familiar with Flippin', that's actually our founder's name, he started working with at-risk kids 30 years ago in the Bryan College Station area. And he was working with kids that had one foot into the prison system and really they were the kids, the throwaway kids, the disenfranchised kids. And what do we do with these kids? And Flip actually went before the judge and said, let me work with them. I teach a model process, and let me work with them and show them how this process works. It's a very simple process. These are common sense things, but they're not common practice. And they were really just life skills that he was teaching these kids. Well, after working with them for a semester, at the end of the semester, he invited the kids to bring a mentor to a graduation type ceremony. At that ceremony, a high school principal approached Flip and said, what you're doing with these kids has got to be in our public schools. And Flip pushed back on that. And he pushed back on it because he said these things have to be intentional. So you can't just cherry pick the things we're doing. There's a sequential training to what we're doing with these kids. Well, long story short, this high school principal pushed back and said, I want you to pray about it, I want you to think about it, and I'm going to call you tomorrow for your answer. Called him the next day, and Flip told him that was the same thing, that the answer is no, and here's why, and told him that again. And this high school principal pushed back on him and said, if you're half the man you say you are, then how can you deny this for your kids? And so Flip, who has Flip and his wife have fostered 26 kids over the years. That's really what we're all about. We love kids. We love working with kids. And so from that, teen leadership, the curriculum started 30 years ago. And from that, we started doing a training called Capturing Kids' Hearts. And so 30 years later, we've been in 46 states, and working with over 10,000 schools. And 3 years ago, I was fortunate enough to go through Capturing Kids' Hearts for the first time. And like I said, it changed my life. And so what I'll do for the rest of my life is make sure that every school board, every superintendent, every campus principal at least has to hear what we have to say. and see how it can change campuses and districts' lives. So we do a model process where we engage students in every situation so that there is a common language throughout the campus, throughout the district. So we work with campuses, we work with districts, we work with multiple campuses, and we teach a model process that's just a very simple Excel model. So we start with good things, we communicate what we're trying to do, we empower, and we launch. And that's just kind of condensed. But the whole thing of what we do is we create safety on campuses. That's it. And the best way I can explain it is, I'll give you an example. Thursday of last week, my son is 10 years old, and he had been stabbed in the arm the day before at school. Little kid sitting next to him just stabbed him in the arm. They talked to the principal about it. We didn't get a phone call, but he came home. He was pretty upset about it, didn't say anything else, but the next morning, he had thought about it all night. The next morning, he came in, we said, Casey, are you ready to go to school? And he just curled up in a ball and started crying and said, I'm not going to school today. I can't go to school today. I'm scared. So we talked through it, and I've never seen this little boy who's in 4th grade so incredibly scared to go to school. And here's a kid who is fed, who is loved by his mom and dad, who goes to church, who has friends, who is a very well-adjusted little boy, scared to death to go to school. So I contacted the principal, and we walked through that. And after the principal kind of talked my wife and I off the ledge, I thought to myself, that poor guy, there's not going to be any learning that goes on today because his anxiety level is way up here. And something actually happens in the brain that if I don't feel safe, like I had to you had to sign in before you came in tonight, right? There was a bit of a to get in here, you had to feel safe, I think, right? That's what the amygdala does. And to get into the hippocampus, the amygdala has to feel safe. That's what happens in our kids' heads. And as I drove home the other day, I thought, learning is not going to take place because he does not feel safe. Because as I explored that a little bit more, he's felt that way all semester. That little guy has suffered in silence because there was a child in his room that had been bullying him, who had been staring at him all semester, and he didn't feel safe. And so all he's thinking about is fight or flight in his brain. What Capturing Kids' Hearts does is it creates a culture of safety in the campus. I can't tell you enough about how important that is. Before we do anything, the work in Capturing Kids' Hearts is foundational. We have to fix the culture of safety. And what happens in Capturing Kids' Hearts, we actually address the bullying issue through something called a social contract. It's a self-managing document that kids, facilitated by the teacher, makes in their classroom, in their campus, to create that common language. And we teach the teachers how to greet students at the door, how to get that just couple seconds of an appropriate adult handshake and the eye contact to make sure we're good. And if something doesn't look right, then I may pull Mr. Neville aside and say, hey, you doing okay? We good today? And as kids begin to see that, the trust level goes up and those walls come down. And then as a result, learning takes place. So what happens with Capturing Kids' Hearts when we create that foundational piece, right, in the classroom? You'll see that discipline referrals, you're going to love this. Your discipline referrals are going to go way down. Your turnover of your teachers is going to go down. Your dropouts are going to go down. And I'm not sure what the average daily attendance here in Iola is, but I imagine that may go way up. And when we work systemically with districts over the course of a year, on average, we increase that average daily attendance by 1%. All by creating safety in the classroom. 2-day training. We come back and we work with the campuses, and in this case, we can train an entire district. We're talking like next year, the year after, working with the campus for the entire year. And after the 2-day training, we come back and we do what we call the systemic training pieces. So we empower other teachers so that it doesn't just fall on the superintendent's shoulders, it doesn't just fall on the principal's shoulders. It goes to the teachers, and we empower the teachers to become what we call process champions. And then our strategists will come back in, so the investment that you're making into what you're paying for with this training has fidelity throughout. And then what happens from there is we have something called National Showcase Campuses. So we're working towards something, creating that foundational piece with culture, with stopping turnover or discipline referrals, making kids feel safe because they want to come to school. And then when that happens, we send the strategist back in to grade how we're doing on the fidelity. Okay, so making sure that everything is following as it should. And we're entering year 5 on what we're doing with our National Showcase schools. And last year we had 202 National Showcase campuses nationwide. A lot of those here in Texas. And I'd love for Iola to be one of those districts. What I would say is, if there's any question about what you can do, and I've provided you with plenty of information about what the process does about connecting kids to the teachers. There's so much research, and there's such a hot button right now of making sure those connections are in place, because if they're not, the learning, as I said, for instance with my son, won't take place until the kids feel safe. And that's in every school district, and every campus across America. Kids have got to feel safe. That social emotional learning piece is critical to what we're doing, and we fix that. And so as we create our National Showcase campuses, I would say if you have any questions, I'd love to answer any questions. I'd love to invite you to go visit some of our National Showcase campuses. There are some close by, and Mr. Fowler, I think you might have been the one, Brian? Right. I'd say go visit a Showcase campus, and you can see when you walk in, you can feel it. You can feel it because it begins with that common language from the receptionist all the way to the superintendent, because it's a model behavior. And when we talk about training, we talk about anybody that has contact with a child. That be the transportation department, the athletic directors, the coaches, cafeteria staff, and of course the teachers are our primary, because they spend the most amount of time with the kids. I'm going to stop right there and say, what questions do you have at this point about capturing kids' hearts?
So the training is, y'all do the 2-day training with each, like with the whole campus?
Yes, sir. So we would actually come to Iola, probably go off-site, or maybe a church, and go off-site and train up to 60 people. So we can fit the entire district.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's one of the things we've been looking at. I don't know if I shared that part with you guys or not. We have roughly 45 classroom teachers. So we would include everyone, even looking at bus drivers, food services workers, everyone that's going to interact with the child. And I believe it fits it in that 60-person range, and if not, it might be 1 or 2 over that we know what that expense would be.
Yeah, so we come here for those 2 consecutive days, train from 8 to 5, and then from that point on, your strategist is, you have 24/7 access to a strategist, which the teachers really like, because, you know, getting started can be kind of tough, and so we have resources in what we call the CKH cloud that they can go to for launches and meaningful activities to do, resources, and then my contact stays in with you all to see, you know, what we can do in order to get us to where we need to be. I'm constantly there grading this along the way. The strategist is the one who really has the boots on the ground, working with the teachers, working with the principals, working with the superintendent. Does that answer your question?
And then how long is that service for? So let's say we get everybody trained, maybe some contact is you like to say, trying to get things on the ground implemented. How long is our, I guess, time as far as use of your services in case something maybe to come up on the campus or?
Yeah, so that's a really good question. What she's asking is, the commitment would be over the 2020-2021 school year.
Okay.
When I say 24/7 access, that means you have any issues throughout the length of the contract, we're there for you. But in addition to that, you do have the 2-day training, then you have a 2-day training around October, November, and then we come back in the springtime. In addition to that, I'm through here all the time, and my strategist has 24/7 online access. So you really are just a phone call away for anything that we need. Yeah. Our strategists are former teachers, and so the one that would be for this area actually lives in Huntsville. So she's like very close to where she could make just an easy day trip and spend 2 days here.
Do you have a district that was probably your greatest success?
I do. Splendora. You know Dr. Burke? Okay, he's the superintendent there, and he actually came from Round Rock. And it starts with the superintendent. And I know I've been working with Mr. Martindale for about a year and a half, talking here and there. And here's what you need to know about the success or failure of the program. It starts with leadership. And after I met with the leadership team here about a month ago, I felt like if we decided that we wanted to do this, you have leaders that will model the process. And if they don't model it, then it won't work. In the case of Splendora, it starts with the superintendent, and he actually has somebody that oversees the fidelity of the training that I talk to on almost a daily basis. And we started at the middle school where we really needed some help the most, where we were really dying on the vine. And I know Splendora is a little bit bigger than Iola, but I think really what they've done there in Splendora is their discipline referrals are next to nothing. The superintendent told me last year he heard from one parent all year long. In 1 year, that to me is amazing. But more importantly, their test scores are going up. Their elementary campus went from an F to a C. Their attendance has gone up a couple percentage points. Their turnover has stopped. Yeah. So very proud of what they're doing, but it all starts with modeling from the leadership. That's a great question.
You guys have any other questions? Okay. I thank you so much. Board, this is just my take on it. You guys have known me for 7 years. I'm a firm believer in that success is based on relationships. And I think we're a very, very good district right now. And when I talked to Mr. Lathrop the first time, he summed it up like, this would take us from good to great, you know, not to quote the book, but I think you would solidify relationships, teacher to teacher, teacher to student, student to student, and I think that's what would push us over the top. But I've shared that with y'all before, so I thank you again so much. I appreciate you.
I do have one question. I'm sure there's a fee involved, would it be per student, per teacher, per district? How would that?
We calculate the cost per teacher, and so really it's to do a systemic, what we call a district by design, based on the size of the district. It's $45,500, and that's over the course of the year per service. So we do this next August, it would be $21,000, and then again in October another $16,000, and then in the springtime with attraction visits. And that kind of goes back to your question, is as needed. Beyond that, you're not looking at $50,000 a year. You're looking at just a strategist to come in and maintain how we're doing. So it goes down considerably. But does that answer your question?
Yeah, I just was curious of how the process would go on that financially, that's what I was.
Right. It's, when Flip started this, it was really just capturing kids' hearts, and it was the teachers would actually go to a retreat model and Round Top. What we found over the last 10 years is working systemically with districts, going back in and finding out, you know, it goes back to Flip's original thing. You can't just meet and greet at the door and then not start with good things and not have a social contract. All those things done in sequence, you'll get the result that you want. And that's what we're looking for. And so that's what a strategist will help you with. Because every teacher's at a different level. What we've found is, and I love districts where you have a lot of veteran teachers. Those are the ones that get the most from this, because they're the ones that sometimes can be a little stubborn, maybe a little resistant to, oh, we've done this before and it didn't work, or this is the professional development training, you know. But they're the ones that come out going, you know, like Mr. Martindale said, it's all about relationships. And that's really why most teachers get in, because they're great teachers, but also because they love kids. And that was where we all started, was we're a company that loves kids. And so we'll show your teachers how to do that in the appropriate, right way to connect with them. It's what our kids need. So I'd be honored to answer any questions. I did put my business card in there. Feel free to call, text, any questions that you have. Like I said, this is something that I'm extremely passionate about, and I could talk for hours about it, but I want to honor your time, so I won't. But we'll have to send you to another district to show you. We just trained Madisonville. Yeah, so a lot of success for you out there. Yeah, Mr. Smith, yeah, we trained the entire district.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
I appreciate you
very much.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all.
Safe travels.
We're taking no action, correct?
Yeah, that was purely informational.
So we'll move on to the consent agenda.
Consent agenda, I didn't receive any questions about anything from anyone today, so I ask that the board approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any more discussion before we vote? All right. Those in favor? Those opposed? All right. Yes, 6 of them. Move on to item number 6.
Item number 6, campus and superintendent reports. We'll allow ladies to go first.
All right, just let you know the things that have been going on here since we last met. Our attendance is at 97.45%. Last month it was at 97.7%. We have had, we're now working on our second round of stomach viruses and flu and strep. So we're trying to hold strong. Dave's got his wand that he uses, the bug blaster. So that's what maintenance has been up to lately too. Our numbers, we have received 2 new students, 1 enrolled last week and 1 enrolled today, a kindergartner and a 3rd grader. Some events that have been going on, Kay and First went to Dewberry Farms last Thursday. Next week is going to be Red Ribbon Week, so we'll have some members of the community come out. I think we have a couple parents of our students who are also K-9 officers for Texas A&M University Police. And they're going to be coming out and doing some presentations for the kids. Next month, we have the 3rd grade field trip to Aggieland Safari and the 5th grade field trip to, I believe, MSC Opus. I don't remember the name, but it's they do some sort of theatrical presentation involving science, so they really get into that. Also, very excited that 6th grade is now invited to the junior high dance. We feel like it's a great rite of passage and a, welcome to junior high, almost but not quite. We understand they're still elementary kids. We want to give them something as being the top dogs on campus. So that's coming up November 16th. We have the book fair next month as well, and day one UIL competition in Somerville is on November 14th. Busy time of year for us, but we're going to take home all the medals again this year.
Thank you, Mr. Juicy.
All right, so still a lot of great things going on at the high school. So our attendance is up this year, this month. We've gone up from 97.91 and we're now up to 98.06. And so it's still well above our campus improvement plan, which is 97.5. So our attendance contest has been doing really well. We actually got slushies or snow cones or whatever, and they really seem to have enjoyed that. Athletics, our volleyball is doing fantastic. So varsity is 37-2 right now. JV is 25-2. Well, and there are only 2 losses for a powerhouses, so that shouldn't really count. JV is 25-2, and freshman is 11-1. I was talking to Miss today, and she said this year so far, if you count 7 through 12, they are 93-11. So that's some success right there. So that's some great stuff going on. Football, they're struggling a little bit, but they're trying really hard. We've had a lot of injuries that's really made it hard for them. So they're fighting hard. They saw a lot of great things at that last football game. I mean, it was first and goal at the 1 yard line, and they held them out. I mean, so I'm really proud of those boys. They're really doing good. We've got a bye this week, and then we play Bremont next week. So they're getting a lot of growth there. Our band is doing really well. They've got in their contest, I guess it was 2 Saturdays ago, they got all 2s, and which is 1 is the one that you want to get, and so they were just a little bit off of getting 1s in most of their areas. And so Ms. Johnson was very proud of them. She emailed us right away and was just gloating on them, and she's just really proud of the growth that they're doing, and they're just doing a fantastic job. Data-wise, so we've got some 7th and 8th grade data results for some of our benchmarks right now. 7th grade science, they're at 97% met on their current benchmark, so that will include up to now the TEKs that they've addressed. 90% met, 97% met, and 18% mastered. So that's really doing well. Their 8th grade science, 90% met and 46% mastered. So that's really good. So master's up into your 90% percentile. 7th grade math. For 7th grade math, he's had kind of 3 benchmarks already. The first one was 89% met with 27% mastered. His second benchmark was 94% met and 27% mastered. His third benchmark was 89% met and 62% mastered. So 7th grade math is doing really well. And Mr. Glass is a really amazing teacher. His 8th grade benchmarks, he's got 100% met and 67% mastered on his first benchmark, and the second one is 95% met with 67% mastered. So that's phenomenal. That's some amazing results. So we had quite a few of our juniors and seniors, sophomores and juniors take the PSAT. We've had like the most in several years with 49 students, which we were really proud of all of them. And then we had 9 seniors take the SAT this last week. So other things, we've got Relish Day coming up for a bunch of our seniors in the CTE program that they have. It's kind of like a field day in the morning. Our theater is doing several different field trips with One Act Play, and we have several different field trips and stuff that our students are doing right now. So a lot of things going on at the high school right now. So,
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. For the superintendent's report, I'm going to have very many items this month. Ms. Sajewski and I, the district for elementary UIL academics, that district pointed out some fine print to us a couple of weeks ago, and that is we're supposed to host the meet 2 years instead of 1. So December 5th will be a half day for the district. And we'll put that information out starting tonight or first thing in the morning, but I wanted the board to hear it first. It's good for us because we haven't used any of our extra time we built into our calendar, so this will be a half day that allows us to clear the elementary campus, bring in, I don't know how many districts, 4 or 5 districts?
6 or something.
6 districts, but then also the secondary staff also comes and helps run that meet. So December 5th, half day, but we'll get that information out every way we can. The November board meeting, our goal since, for the last couple months, is to have our audit presented in November and be done with it. That's possible because the audit is going to be finished in November, but the issue is scheduling the audit. Actually in Rhodey have two other districts that their firm is meeting with on November 18th, which would be our normal board meeting. So right now, it's every day back and forth, trying to find a date. So I would like for you guys to stay open for November. I want that audit done. I want it done in November like we said we would do. As soon as I find a date, I will communicate that with you guys and we'll get that out to the public as well. But it won't be on our regular third Monday of the month. It will not be on November 18th. There's two other districts ahead of us on that date. I'll get that to you as soon as I have it. I want to share with you that Mr. Dave Jordan and I might be taking a little turn on something that I talked with you guys about, something we budgeted for this year, and that was the shatterproof film that was going on our entrances to both campuses. And we had agreed to spend a little bit more because it was going to have the graphics, it would have school graphics on it and make our entryways not only safer but look really nice. Kind of start of the year, there's been some concern shared by elementary teachers about their windows in their classrooms. And the student safety zones that are marked off in their classrooms are visible from those outside windows. And they're just concerned about the windows, the same we are about the front entrance, that it could be broken. We have found a company that has like the mirrored or silver film, because we talked about if you kind of do like a two-way mirror type thing, we could do it so our students and teachers can still see out, but you can't see in those classrooms. So actually that company is supposed to come this week, and we're going to do a walk around with them and get a quote. So kind of moving away from the expensive graphic of the front and making the whole campus safer in general. But I'll keep you posted on that. The company has done Clear Creek ISD, Edinburgh ISD. We're trying to reach out to those districts to see if they're happy with the product. The company claims the product they use is the same that's used in the Pentagon. So we'll see. I could even follow up with Mr. Will Hood about that. Last month, you approved us purchasing a Suburban. I want you to know we have placed our order, but GEOM is still striking. So if the community knows you guys approved it, we are trying to purchase it, but GEOM is the holdup there, not us. And then we have, every 3 years, you're required to do a safety audit, a district safety audit. This is our third year, so we'll be doing a safety audit. I'm contracting with Region 6, who's done the last two since I've been in Iola, to come and do that. They're coming on November 12th, so that'll be more information I can share with you guys after the audit and let you know if we're safer than we were 3 years ago. So that's all I have for superintendent's report.
Everything, move on to
Item
7.
7. Yes, item 7 is a waiver, a TEA waiver for maximum class size exception. You know that K through 4th grade is supposed to be a 22-to-1 ratio. In 3rd grade, we have 23 kids in each class. So we are asking that the board approve the TEA waiver for maximum class size exception.
Is that what it said when it might have been done earlier before they registered? It seemed like it said a different number for the kids, but you do have 46. I think it said 45 or something over here.
Yes, ma'am.
For the number for the month.
It was one, it had 45, so up until last week or the
Yeah,
week before,
so this did,
one
yeah.
class had 23 and the other had 22, and the
Okay.
22 was in the correct ratio.
Right.
And now they're both off by 1,
Okay.
so.
Okay.
To the new student. Okay, got a motion?
Second.
Second. Any more discussion? I was just asking if, I thought one of the new students was one
I think it was.
that added to
Kristen,
that.
did you
Well,
have
it's,
third
it's
grade?
what made the other class one
New
over
student.
also. Yes, sir.
Okay.
We would still would have to do because the one was 23 to 1. Now we're doing it and they both happen to be 23 to 1.
Any more discussion? All those in favor? All right, 6-0. Move on to item number 8.
Item number 8 is consideration of tax roll resolution for tax year 2019. Honestly, this is just one of those things that you do annually. We really don't have a choice or an option. So I ask the board approve the resolution for the tax roll of tax year 2019.
I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for the tax roll for 2019.
Motion, second by Danny. Any more discussion? All those in favor? 6-0 again. All right, we'll move on to item number 9.
Item 9, what you have in your board packet is a copy of the 2019 Tax Assessor Collection Agreement. Essentially what that is telling you, this is the payments we'll make to Grimes County Appraisal District for doing our appraisals and collecting our taxes and getting us our tax money. It's the fees we pay them, but you see how it's broken out each payment, when that payment's due and how much we pay. Just ask that we approve that Tax Assessor Collection Agreement.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Luke seconds. Any more discussion? All those in favor? 6-0 again. Move on to item number 10.
Okay, this is one you guys may have to help me walk through. And so this is the resolution and ballot for Grimes County Appraisal District Board of Directors election as presented. So in your packet, you have there the candidates for serving on that board. The resolution that's sent to us from the appraisal district says that as a governing body, we do have the choice to cast all our votes as one, but that's what you have to make a decision on. So,
What have we done in the past?
in the past, you've always done it as a body, as one. That's what Mrs. Bacha shared with me as I asked about the history.
So is this written right here as we've done in the
Yes,
past?
ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. It's written the same way. So my recommendation, the Board of Trustees approve the resolution and ballot for GCAD Board of Directors election as presented. So that would be as one body.
So moved.
Motion made, second by Red. Any more discussion? All right, all in favor? Do we,
You might say, I think you might want to say which candidate you want to.
oh, wait.
Maybe, I don't know. I could be screwing it up. Well, and even if we have a question, we
It says
can.
as presented, so does that cover us since it's, Mr. Madden's on there?
Sure.
I'm pretty sure that's what
I think that's the way we've done it in the past.
yeah,
And
we
only do that.
discussed it a little bit the other day, but it wasn't great. It wasn't in great detail of us, our discussion. They were more worried about another one on there. So, however y'all feel,
I believe that's how you've done it in the past. I apologize for interrupting the vote.
no, that's fine. You ready to vote now? All those in favor? 6-0.
Scott, can you still vote in that since your name is on there, or do you? I don't know that.
What would y'all recommend, I guess, as a board?
Oh,
Yeah, I'm not fine abstaining if I need to.
If it matters, probably the same, just put on us.
Yeah, it might be safe to abstain if you're not
Yeah,
sure.
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
Sorry, my parliamentary procedure is not at the sharpest.
I'm not helping you either, so I promise.
That's the only thing I thought when I saw that, when that packet.
I mentioned something to him, but then whenever it said something as a body, we
Right.
assumed maybe that as a body that we didn't, but we'll just abstain, it ain't gonna hurt nothing, it's not gonna change nothing, so. All right, we good there? I guess we move on to item number, we're going to vote, or we're going to close session.
Well, we can go ahead and we have one hiring recommendation. Ms. Andruski wants to speak to that. And
Item 11.
we could do that one and then go in closed session and come back out. If that's okay. I'll let you speak, Ms. Andruski.
Okay, so a few years ago, we were in a situation where we had to kind of create a position, and it was then called PPCD, Preschool Program for Children with Disabilities. It's changing its name to ECSE, Early Childhood Special Education, and so we are having two 3-year-olds that will be served on our campus. So we will need to have a half-day program for them, which will require a teacher for them during that time. So it's my recommendation, we put the application out there, and we had one apply, Kara Shive, she's elementary PTO president. She's got lots of experience with special needs students, including on the younger side as well. So that's going to be my recommendation, is to hire Kara Shive for the 1920 school year to be our early childhood special education teacher.
So that will be for a half a day?
We're going to keep her full day, so that once the 3-year-olds go home, she can go in and support any classroom teacher that needs assistance with special ed, accommodations, modifications. She's going to be like a special ed coach to those teachers who might be struggling with any special ed kids. I think it's a true benefit to our district right now.
And remind me, is she a certified teacher herself?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
She has a number of years of experience. Again, the reason we quit putting years of experience on here is because we would tell you guys one thing, and then we would get their service records and would be off a year or 2 years. So it's hard to go from someone's resume, and that's what we were always putting on here, is the years they put on their resume, but it didn't match up with their service records. So, but she probably, I think, has 14 or 15 years as a special education teacher.
In the past, and it could have been different needs. I mean, we've had them for half a day, and we didn't hire a teacher, right? We hired an aide. I'm supposing the needs are different this time or something.
They
Is
are
why.
with these kids, yes.
Okay, because I was, all right.
And this starts immediately? I mean,
I believe the program is set to start at the end of October or the first week in November.
So why did it not start when school started?
They
Just
just
because they
turned
weren't
3.
3 yet, they just turned, or
They
they're turning
both
3 this
turned.
month.
3
3.
this month.
Okay, any other questions?
But one of them is a transfer, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, one of them is, and because of the teacher, an employee child, so.
But the other one we've kind of known was possibly coming, right?
Yes, they
Yes.
have siblings.
So-
We weren't 100% sure, but I think it's a big possibility, yeah.
I know we've kind of mentioned that we might have to do something for that, so.
Good news is that Region 6 is going to be funding most of the big equipment that has to go in there for the kids. So I think there's just a few small items that the co-op is going to be paying for, and Region 6 is paying for mostly all of it, all the equipment. Thank you.
Need the motion on this?
Yes, please, recommend hiring Karen Shive.
You are or I am?
I'm making the recommendation,
Okay.
somebody have to act on it.
All right.
Make a motion.
I see.
A motion by Luke, second by Danny, for the hiring of Kara Shive. Do you have any more discussion? All those in favor? 6-0. Good luck.
Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to ask that we go into closed session under 551074 and 551076 as personnel matters and student safety. 551076. Thank y'all.
Thank
Okay.
you for that.
So we're back on agenda item 11, and I just recommend that the board approve the district guardians as presented in closed session.
So moved.
Motion. Tammy, second by Red. Any more discussion?
Guardians of the Galaxy?
Guardians of the Iola.
No more discussion? All those in favor? 6-0.
Thank you.
We got one more motion.
Motion to adjourn.
We got a motion, second by Luke.
Yay.
Thank you.
Thank y'all very much.